Welcome back to part 4 of the Rose Cardigan Crochet Along, and today we are going to be working on our decreases on the right panel of our cardigan. As always, please make sure you have hit that subscribe button and of course the notification bell so you know when the next part of the pattern will become available for you too. You should have already completed all of the rows that you need to get ready to add on your decreases, as I discussed back in part 2 when we started our side panels. Just like when we did our left panel, we should have our first row of extended half double crochets ready to work in our decreasing. Now with our left panel, we decreased on one side so that when we finish working the right side, we're going to be facing the right way. This will become clearer as we work these decreases. Ultimately, what we're doing is we're decreasing on the other side of our panel than what we did on our left panel to make sure that both of those panels, when they're facing each other, or when they're closed and worn as a cardigan, they'll be facing different ways. It does make a difference, I promise, especially when, I think I've mentioned this numerous times now, but when we have this look of a very light ribbing, we want to make sure that this part is showing on both side panels. I haven't discussed in depth about right side, wrong side, but essentially what we're doing by working our decreases on the other side of our panel is we're making the right side different on both panels. The same as it was for our left panel, the first 5 rows are the same for both sizes. So we're just going to repeat those for this panel. So we start with row 1 of our decrease rows for the right side by making a chain 1. I have already done mine. And then we can turn our work ready to work the first row of our decreasing. So we're going to start by yarning over and inserting our hook into the same stitch as our chain 1 to work our first extended half double crochet. So we yarn over, just pull through that first loop before we yarn over and pull through all 3. In this row, we're going to start by working our extended half double crochet into the next 2 stitches. So we yarn over and insert our hook, yarn over, bring our loop up, yarn over, just pull through that first loop. We're then going to yarn over, insert our hook into the next stitch, yarn over, bring our loop up before we pull through just that first loop, before we finally pull through all 5 loops on our hook. We then work 1 extended half double crochet into the next stitch, before repeating that decrease across the next 2 stitches again. So we yarn over, insert, bring our loop up, yarn over to pull through the first loop, yarn over, insert our hook into the next stitch, yarn over, bring that loop up, yarn over, pull through that first loop, and finally yarn over to pull through all 5 loops. We're then going to work 1 extended half double crochet into each stitch across to the end of the row. So continue to work 1 extended half double crochet into each stitch across, and I'll meet you at the end of row 1. So at the end of row 1 of your decreases on the right side, your stitch count will be 22 for an extra small, 24, 28, 32, 34, 38, 40, 44, or 46 for a 5XL. Going straight into row 2 of our decreases, we're going to make our chain of 1 and turn our work. And with row 2, we're going to be working 1 extended half double crochet until the last 3 stitches. So I'm going to grab my stitch marker and just count across my last 3 stitches. There's 1, 2, and 3. And then pop my stitch marker in, just so I know that I don't have to worry about it when I've started pulling it around, getting down to that end. So we're simply going to work 1 extended half double crochet into the same as our chain 1. And then into each stitch across to our last 3 stitches, and I'll meet you for our next decrease when we have just those 3 stitches remaining. Once we've reached just 3 stitches left, we're going to be working our extended half double crochet 2 together across the next 2 stitches. So we yarn over, insert our hook into the next stitch, yarn over to bring our loop up, yarn over, just pull through that first loop, yarn over, insert into the next stitch, yarn over, bring a loop up, yarn over, just pull through that first one. We have 5 loops left on our stitch. We're going to yarn over and pull through all 5 loops before finally working our final extended half double crochet into our last stitch, which is tricky for me. Where has it gone? So at the end of row 2, our stitch count will reduce by 1 with that last extended half double crochet 2 together we made. So we are down to 21, 23, 27, 31, 33, 37, 39, 43 and 45 extended half double crochets. Going into row 3, we are repeating row 1. So we do our turning chain of 1. Oops. And we are working 1 extended half double crochet into the same stitch as our chain 1. Ready to work our extended half double crochet 2 together across the next 2 stitches. Now my dog is having a very big dream and she started to snore, so apologies if you hear any dog dream noises in the background. So we're going to be working our extended half double crochet 2 together across the next 2 stitches. So we yarn over, insert our hook into the next stitch, yarn over, bring our loop up, yarn over and just pull through that first loop, yarn over, insert your hook into the next stitch, bring your loop up, just pull through that first loop before finally pulling through all 5 loops on your hook. We're then going to work 1 extended half double crochet into the next stitch. And that's before we work another extended half double crochet 2 together across the next 2 stitches. Yarn over, insert, yarn over to bring up a loop, yarn over, just pull through that first loop, yarn over, insert into the next stitch, yarn over, bring a loop up, yarn over, pull through that first loop before we yarn over and pull through all 5 loops. For the remainder of row 3, we are simply going to work 1 extended half double crochet into each stitch across. Now stitch count is going to reduce by 2 again in this row because we've just worked 2 decreased stitches in those first few. So I'll meet you at the end of row 3, so we just double check our stitch count once again. So at the end of row 3, we can really start to see those decreases again now, and you should have a stitch count of 19, 21, 25, 29, 31, 35, 37, 41 and 43. Row 4, we are repeating row 2. So we start with our chain of 1 to turn our work. And row 2, we're going to be working across to the last 3 stitches. So I'm just going to mark my last 3 stitches. So there is 1, 2, I'm just going to mark my 3rd stitch. Again, I'm just making sure that I've got that first one. I'm not confusing it with the chain 1 or skipping it. So for row 4, repeating row 2, we start by working 1 extended half double crochet into the same as our turning chain of 1 and working 1 extended half double crochet into each stitch across to the last 3 stitches. So keep working across to the last 3 stitches and I'll meet you for our next decrease. Once you've reached your last 3 stitches, we're going to work our extended half double crochet 2 together across those next 2 stitches. So we yarn over and insert to bring our loop up, yarn over, just pull through that first loop, yarn over, insert into the next stitch, yarn over, bring a loop up and just yarn over to pull through that first stitch, and finally we're going to yarn over and pull through all 5 loops, working an extended half double crochet into that last stitch. For row 5, we chain 1 and turn our work, ready to do another repeat of row 1. So we yarn over and work 1 extended half double crochet into the same stitch as our chain 1 before working an extended half double crochet 2 together across the next 2 stitches. We then work an extended half double crochet into the next, and working another extended half double crochet 2 together across the next 2 stitches. We can then work 1 extended half double crochet into each stitch across to the end of this row, which is row number 5 of our decreases. I'll meet you at the end of row 5 so that we can continue on for row 6 and start doing those different decreases depending on which size you're making again. So at the end of row 5, we should now have a stitch count of 16, 18, 22, 26, 28, 32, 34, 36, 40 or 42. Going into row 6, this is the first row that is different between the 2 sizes, and actually there's no difference until we get to the end. So if you are making an extra small to a medium, you're just going to be repeating a normal half double crochet and the V-stitch row. If you are making a large through to a 5XL like I am, I'm going to be marking my 3rd stitch in again. So we've got 1, 2 and 3, so I'm just going to mark there. If you're working a large to a 5XL, just mark your 3rd from last stitch, and we're all starting the same. So this is for all sizes. We've done our turning chain of 1. We're going to start by working 1 half double crochet into the same stitch as our chain 1. We're all going to skip that next stitch, and then into the next stitch along we're going to yarn over and work 1 half double crochet, a chain 1 and a further half double crochet. We skip the next stitch, and into that next stitch along we're working a half double crochet, chain 1, half double crochet. We're going to repeat this all the way down to the last stitch for extra small to size medium, and then for large to 5XL we're going to stop at our marked stitch, which is the 3rd stitch from the end. So I'll meet you shortly at that marked stitch if you're working a large to a 5XL. Continue to repeat 1 half double crochet, a chain 1, another half double crochet, and then skipping that next stitch all the way across, and I'll meet you in a moment. So if you're making extra small to a small, you would work your half double crochet, chain 1, half double crochet into that 2nd from last stitch. If, like me, you're making a large through to a 5XL, we're only working a half double crochet into that 2nd from last stitch. So we're skipping the next and working 1 half double crochet. If you're making an extra small to a medium, you'll work a chain 1 and a further half double crochet into that 2nd from last stitch, and then all sizes will work 1 half double crochet into the last. At the end of row 6, your stitch count should be 7, 8 or 10 chain 1 spaces, or 11, 12, 14, 15, 17 or 18 chain 1 spaces. And that's just counting those chain spaces in between. So for row 7, we are all going to start by making 1 half double crochet into the same stitch as our chain 1. If you're making a extra small through to a medium, you were going to get ready to work into that chain 1 space, so you skip the next. Those of us making a large through to a 5XL, we're actually skipping the next 2 stitches. So we're going to yarn over, skip that stitch and the next stitch, ready to work into that chain 1 space. So we yarn over, so all of us are doing this, skipping the stitches to our first chain 1 space, ready to work our half double crochet, chain 1, half double crochet. We're just going to continue to repeat that into each chain 1 space across, working another half double crochet, chain 1 and a 2nd half double crochet. Continue to repeat that all the way across, and I will meet you for the end of our row. Once we've worked into that final chain 1 space, we skip the next stitch, working a final half double crochet into our last stitch. So at the end of row 7, you should have a stitch count of 7, 8 or 10 chain 1 spaces, 11, 12, 14, 15, 17 or 18 chain 1 spaces. Row 8 is the same for all sizes. So we're going to start with our turning chain of 1. Ready to work, 1 extended half double crochet into the same stitch as our chain 1. We're going to skip the next stitch and work into our chain 1 space, placing another extended half double crochet. And then we work our next extended half double crochet into the next stitch. We're going to repeat this across, working 1 extended half double crochet into each chain space and into the next stitch, skipping the next, all the way across to our last 2 stitches, and I will meet you there. Once we've reached those last 2 stitches, we work 1 extended half double crochet into each of the last 2. So at the end of row 8, you should have a stitch count of 16 for extra small, 18, 22, 24, 26, 30, 34, 36 or 40. 5XL in extended half double crochets. So at the end of row 8, this is where we can let our extra small through to medium go off on their own and do a nice easy repeat, while the large through to 5XL are just going to make one more decrease together. If you are making an extra small through to a medium, for rows 9 to 13, you are going to be working a chain 1 and 1 extended half double crochet into each stitch across. You'll then follow that with rows 14 to 21, repeating rows 6 through to 13. If you're making a large through to a 5XL, we're going to work together to make our final decrease before working the last section of our panel as well. For the rest of us making a large through to a 5XL, we are continuing on to row 9. We're going to start by making a chain of 1. And we're going to be repeating row 1 or row 3, they're both the same. So we start by making an extended half double crochet into the same stitch as our chain 1. We then work our extended half double crochet 2 together over the next 2 stitches. So we yarn over, insert our hook, bring up our loop, yarn over, pull through that first loop, yarn over, insert our hook into the next stitch, yarn over, bring a loop up, yarn over just to pull through that first loop, and we yarn over and pull through all 5 loops. We're then going to work an extended half double crochet into the next stitch, just as normal, before working our second extended half double crochet 2 together across the next 2 stitches. So we yarn over, insert our hook, yarn over to bring our loop up, yarn over, just pull through that first loop, we yarn over, insert into the next stitch, yarn over, bring our loop up, yarn over, pull through that first loop. You should still have 5 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through all 5 loops. We can then work 1 extended half double crochet into each stitch across to the end of the row. So I'll meet you at the end of row 9. So at the end of row 9, those of us making a large through to a 5XL will have a stitch count of 22, 24, 28, 32, 34 and 38 extended half double crochets. Now that is the last of our decreases. So going on to row 10 to 13, we make a chain of 1 and we're simply working 1 extended half double crochet into the same as our chain 1 and each stitch across. So work those 4 rows for rows 10, 11, 12 and 13, working 1 extended half double crochet into each stitch across, and I'll meet you in a moment for our final few rows. Once you've completed those 4 rows of extended half double crochets, we're ready to go into row 14, so we can start our V stitches again and our half double crochets. So we start with our chain 1 and turn our work. We'll be making 1 half double crochet into that first stitch, the same as our chain 1. We're going to skip the next stitch and work 1 half double crochet, chain 1 and another half double crochet into that next stitch. We then skip the next stitch and we're going to repeat this across, working 1 half double crochet, a chain 1 and another half double crochet, followed by skipping that next stitch all the way to our last stitch where we will be working 1 half double crochet. I will meet you for our last stitch. So once you've worked your final half double crochet, chain 1 half double crochet, we simply work 1 half double crochet into that last stitch. At the end of row 14, you should have either 9, 10, 12, 14, 15 or 16 chain 1 spaces. We're then going to chain 1, ready for row 15. Oh, get a bit tangled when they get this long. And for here, we're going to start by working our half double crochet into the same stitch as our chain 1, just as before. And we're going to skip that first stitch, ready to work our half double crochet, chain 1, half double crochet into that chain 1 space. So half double crochet, chain 1 and a half double crochet. We're going to repeat that all the way across, working the half double crochet, chain 1, half double crochet into each chain 1 space across, and I'll meet you for our last stitch. Once you've worked into your final chain 1 space, we're going to skip that next stitch, working our final half double crochet into our last stitch. For row 16, we chain 1, turn our work, ready to work our extended half double crochets into both those stitches and chain 1 spaces, just as we did before. So we're going to work 1 extended half double crochet into the same stitch as our chain 1. We then skip that next stitch, working our next extended half double crochet into our chain 1 space before working our next extended half double crochet into the stitch, not into the chain 1 itself. We're then going to skip the next stitch and continue to repeat all the way across, working 1 extended half double crochet into our chain 1 space and 1 extended half double crochet into the top of the next stitch. Skip the next and repeat across. Repeat all the way across and I'll meet you for our final stitch. I should have said our final 2 stitches for row 16. We are of course working 1 extended half double crochet into each of the last 2 stitches. Now all that's left to do on your side panel is simply work rows 17 through to 21. So we're doing the same number of rows, we've just done that extra decrease so that we have a slightly wider neckline. So for rows 17 to 21, we're working a chain 1 and working 1 extended half double crochet into each stitch across for rows 17, 18, 19, 20 and 21. At the end of row 21, you can fasten off and weave in any ends to finish off this side panel. As always, if you have any questions or if you would like any help with this pattern, please comment below. I am here to help. As soon as you've finished your first side panel, snap a picture and share it over on social media, either in the Facebook group or over on Instagram, so that we can all celebrate your success on completing these decreases and creating a beautiful neckline for your cardigan. Thank you as always for joining me for this tutorial. I will see you in the next video.